My name is Haizel McIntyre. I live in the Bronx. I'm a New Yorker, and I am, as my credentials will show, I'm an LMSW, which is a licensed Master's in Social Work, CFSW, Certified Financial Social Work, and then CFEI, which is Certified Financial Education Instructor. My company is Making Money Movers NYC, where we empower city-funded organizations who serve marginalized youth and young adults to really give them the opportunity to make healthier money moves through this 8-part dynamic program that I have, which allows them to budget, save, and just be one of the first in their families to start building generational wealth.
Diversified game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I hope to inspire you and teach you so you can get serious about your money. But I don't want to do it personally. I want Miss Haizel McIntyre to give us the game on all of her accomplishments that you just heard, what those mean, and how they can benefit you if you go look in the description box and say, hey, I want to go hire her. Miss Haizel, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Blessed by the best always, especially when we get to talk like this in great weather. It's no longer cold in Florida, and I can talk about money and the fact that I don't have to talk about it. Can you let people know? Because most people listening, and most of them are listening. I hope they go over to YouTube and all the other places to go see, put a face with a voice and all that, and a name with a face, but they don't know what a CFSW is. Even my wife, when I tell her, she's like, what is that again? Like, what? Yeah, you told me you get a lot of things. So what is that? So let them know what that is and what you can help them with, because they hear social work and it's like, okay, you can help me in my time of need. You can help me maybe with some support, some services. But what is that, certification?
So pretty much what you said with financial component added, right? So first you have to be a licensed social worker. You have to be a social worker, not a licensed social worker, but a social worker. I just happen to be licensed. And then you take a course or several courses to become certified as a financial social worker, which means that we do the helping part, right? Which is what the foundation of social work is. But we do so in terms of finance. So we really help folks understand their relationship with money, what their money mindsets are, and then giving them the opportunity to learn about finances in a way that is based on their personal personality, like personal money personality, and just being able to give themselves this grace as they're going through this process. So we're processing the money process.
Okay. And what is the number one thing you see amongst, your clients or potential clients that people are making a mistake on?
Not planning, right? There's a saying that says if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that can be in anything in life, but specifically when it comes to your finances, when you don't have a plan for your money can will do whatever it is allowed to do without there being any real goals, and not having those goals can end up putting you in a difficult financial position.
And some people will say, well, I have a plan. I've heard this one, it's laughable, retire with all my cryptocurrency. Doesn't matter what it is. Or my business is my retirement plan, and their business may not even be profitable. You know, People have all these plans. They have plans. They're just not proven track records or something that they can guarantee. How do you go about, like, if they say, well, my business is my retirement plan, I'll just sell it. What would you tell those people, or the crypto bros and gals who think, I'm just going to retire being rich in crypto?
So some folks like and some of the folks don't like the idea of SMART goals, but I believe in SMART goals, right? Because that R mean realistic. It has to be a component of what you're doing. Also the action piece, like if you're going to make these goals, what is the action you're taking behind it? So you can say these things, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't have that goal, don't have that passion, because sometimes you have to take a risk and create these large goals, but you need a plan to be able to get to that goal. So if you're going to retire based on your crypto, what is that game plan? What does that look like? So are you just saying it and hoping that it falls on your lap, or are you making a very intentional plan to be able to achieve that goal? That makes the difference. And then once you have that plan, are you going to, with fidelity, like execute? Because if you're not going to do the work, it's not going to happen.
And I also want to let people know what you aren't, because I'm sure if they come to you with their business and they have their whole business plan, like this is the SBA or Apex Accelerators or Score, you're not going to go through their whole business plan and tell them the right, the wrong. That's not a service that I saw you offering. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct. It really is less about the business plan aspect of it. So like for personal finance, for example, I can't say I'm a financial advisor. I'm not. I'm really just like a coach. Like I help coach you through what your reality in terms of your finances are. So if you bring up your business plan and we look through it, I can maybe look through and see where, based on who I figure out you are, right? Because we'll go through some things first to figure out where you are. I'll meet you where you're at. And once we figure that out, I may say, thinking about this, how realistic is that? Like, I'll help you process through what that sounds like, what that looks like, and how you can actually make those things happen. Or do you need to reconsider, right? Do you need to deviate from that plan, pivot a little bit, and just make some modifications in order for you to reach a goal that's as attainable, but just as, successful in your eyes, like you're meeting that milestone.
Okay, I'm thank you for the clarification. Now, for those who might be confused because they might see, you say you're in New York, they see your business, Making Money Moves. Hold on.
Dance now, I make money moves.
Cardi B, they might say, hey, you got Cardi, Prila on here. Let people know, is there any relation? How did you keep the name, or how did you think of that name? Did the song motivate you? Give us the game.
Sure. So definitely did not want Cardi coming after me. She's had enough court cases. So I let her, I let her keep her terms. So I didn't create a Make Money Moves specifically like the song, but she's also from the Bronx like I am. So, not necessarily fully involving that Cardi B song, but thinking through like how that song impacted folks, and wanting to have a similar impact and also having that catchiness to it so people can remember it. So we're making money movers, meaning you are the money mover, and we're helping you as the money mover to make that money move. So that's kind of the idea behind that.
Okay, and Cardi won't come after you as long as you don't talk about what she's doing in the bedroom or, in her doctor's, other YouTubers that, we're connected to understand. And sometimes people don't listen. They should just cállate la boca, but they don't. And you got to pay millions for that sometimes. But since we are talking Cardi, we are talking the Bronx. I love New York. It is such a, you guys have a mayor that we all said, hey, maybe we should, not in the Bronx, but you guys have a mayor in the boroughs, one of the boroughs. Are you a Puerto Rican as well? Are you Dominican? Are you black? Are you this and that? And I only ask that because people might say, oh, maybe she can do it in Spanish for me, Espanol, And so we want to, give the game and let people know. Also, not enough Latina women are known to, focus on finance, at least in English. So give us the game on, your background on that.
Claro que sí. Yes, I am actually first generation Dominican American. My mom came to this country pregnant with me in order to have an American child. And so my background is Dominican. English is my second language, believe it or not. And so I take a lot of pride in that for sure.
You've tried it your way, but you're still in debt. Or maybe you're doing okay, but want to invest smarter, grow faster. MillionaireX.ai gives you real step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming and start planning. Visit MillionaireX.ai today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
And I love it. I love it. And again, it's not to divide, because I know a lot of that nonsense from the uninformed, usually untraveled, uncultured, uneducated, go talk about those things. But I do like to let people know, because you could be whatever you want, whether you're in New York or Florida, and people will try to sometimes put you in a box. With the finance, and since we're talking, let's just talk about Dominicans. To me, everybody is black when I see them. Are Dominicans doing anything different as a culture in New York that you don't see your typical Americans doing that might be born here? Because I know like Haitians, your neighbors on the same island, they have things like Saw, where they combine their money, and Africans do it. And there's, Jangi and all these different words. Do Dominicans do that? And do you find that there are better savers than your typical American?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. So yeah, la colecta, right? Like that's something I've heard in terms of when someone passes away, you go into the neighborhood and you collect, and that comes from DR. So not seen as much here. Obviously, the neighbor relationships are kind of different here than they are in Dominican Republic. But like you talking about the different terms like susu, right? Things like that. Yes, we do something very similar, absolutely. And I grew up with that. And so I think that is part of like what allows me to relate to different cultures, at the same time allows me to give them different perspectives, because my mother didn't have any of that background for American economy, for example. And so I did grow up with what she brought in culturally, but that kept me from learning earlier on what I could do with the American economy, right? So to this day, my mom has never had a bank account. Like she just has never had one. And so I guess I learned culturally what was expected. But then when I finally learned the opportunities and the options that are available here in America, I combined the two in order to really not only create my company, but be able to provide the service to those who may not be from this country, right? Like Dominican or whatever, like whatever it is, because I understand that culturally there are certain things that are very significant in one's culture. And in some cases, like you may interact with someone who's not as culturally sensitive and they might look down on it, whereas I can help you utilize that to kind of push you forward.
Okay. And no, that's good, because, in most countries outside of the West, you have to buy things cash. The credit isn't as easy as it is. So the mentality is different. And even when people come here sometimes and they get into the Grant Cardone way of thinking and think they're going to be $1 billion in debt and it's going to be okay. Let me tell you, it's a little different when you might be a little brown or black, okay? And it's not that you can't get the money. It's not that you can't go into that type of debt. But some of these things are tied into, things that you don't even know. Ask anybody connecting those Epstein files. Sometimes you just, you gotta, certain people and certain things can get washed away or pushed to the side. Tira la puerta. But that might not be your situation. So or do you feel that the Dominican community is prepared to retire and live their best life for the masses, or do they fall in the same traps as most of America, where, $1 million isn't enough anymore to retire?
Oh man, that's really good question. Now, it's a tough one to have an answer for, only because I've seen and experienced different clients and different things. So first thing that came to mind was a situation, and this wasn't a direct client, but I remember being on the MTA bus, and there was a conversation happening amongst the three folks, and I could tell by the dialect that they were Dominican. And I remember someone, I think it was the lady, who said, I'm going to be 65 in about, I think she said like 5 years, so I'll be able to collect. But she had only been in the country like 2. So she didn't realize that you need to have 10 years of at least of experience of, having a on the books job to be able to be considered for Social Security. And that's really where like my passion comes in for the education piece of what I do, because if you don't know, you just don't know, right? And so and to find out too late, it can be too late. So that is what drives my financial education piece of my business, that people need to know these things as early as possible so they can prepare. So I do foresee that there are many folks who are just not educationally equipped to make up the decisions that they need to make in order to live that lifestyle they want to live, which is why we run into a McDonald's and we see older folks sweeping the floor, right? Walmart specifically, I see a lot of older folks that are working there, and it's because they just didn't have enough information early on to put things in place in order to have the retirement life that they wanted to have. And that is not, and the Dominicans and anyone from another country, they're no strangers to that. They will encounter that if they don't have the knowledge to put things in place early on.
And let's talk about those who do have the knowledge. You're born here, don't carry your color, this sex, or anything like that. But, you see every day when you step outside, and I'm in South Florida, so I see, we don't have to cover up at all, right? The BBLs, the lashes, the Mercedes, the guys with 2 or 3 chains looking like 2 chains, titty boy. But whether it's real or fake, all of the wealth, things that Warren Buffett says I would never buy. The people who do have here, what do you say to the people who they're born here? They say, I don't trust the market. I just I'm living, live and let live, the whole YOLO nonsense, the nonsense that the taxpayer is going to have to pay when, they have to push them to the state funded, nursing home where they push you to the window and you don't get to drink the beer and the wine on tap that Aegis's beautiful, homes sometimes have. What do you say to that person? Because there's a lot of those people and I know some of them. I'm talking about them. I want to say someone's name. I don't have a tell-all. I keep people's secret as a CFSW and just as a person. But what do you say to that person? Because I think we're in a place where it's going to get nasty, especially when we, are much older, but it's going to get nasty and people are going to be like, oh, nobody told me.
Yeah. I say schedule an appointment with me. That is where the social work piece really comes in, right? The financial mindset is a huge factor in how people make financial decisions because every financial decision is emotionally based. Like it really is. You don't think about it, but it is. And so, just to give an example, you can be there could be multiple siblings in the same household growing up the exact same way. And they all have a different financial mindset. You might have one that's frugal. You might have one that likes to spend, right? Like living in New York, and you probably have heard the term living ghetto fabulous, right? Like that is something people, will decide that's the lifestyle they want to live. And it's based on so many factors. So that's where the social work piece comes in. If we can figure out where the root of that is coming from, what your money wounds are, right? Just like you do with like a regular social, like if you think about social work outside of finance, usually somebody might come in with a diagnosis of like depression or whatever the case is. We know that is the diagnosis and we figure out how to help you with your mindset through that. Similar to finance, once we can identify what's going on, like what are these factors, what is the root, what are the money wounds that are causing you to make the decisions that you are happy about in the moment, but then realize later on you're not so happy about. That is something we need to have a conversation about so we can work through that and put you into a healthier money mindset.
Ready to dominate your industry with strategy that actually scales? At Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm, we're not just PR experts, we're licensed sports agents certified in AI and elite business consultants with over 2 decades of experience leading global projects across multiple countries. Visit cprfirm.com, that's colemanprfirm.com, and millionairex.ai, then download the Millionaire X app, your AI-powered guide to getting out of debt, investing smarter, and building generational wealth. Coleman Public Relations and Consulting Firm. It's a family business. It's different.
Okay. How much of the knowledge that you've seen with your experience, I got my CFSW not even, 6 months ago, but I have clients that desperately needed the information that was on there that allowed me to say, hey, you guys, I know I talk about this. I went and grabbed a certification. How much do you see? Is this a race thing? Is it a cultural thing? Is it a sex thing? Who to you are the best savers and who is in the most vulnerable population that really needs to listen to this? So our listeners will then send it to them, whoever, you think that is that.
I don't find that it discriminates. I find that anyone can be anything, right? Right. While those that come from money and have money may have these privileges and these comforts that don't cause them to think or worry about things as much, there's still that diversity and within those that have the money, because you'll find that there's some who are more humble than others, even with large amount of money. There's those that really want to just spend just to spend. So there's no real discrimination when it comes to that. It is just about like everyone has their own characteristics, their own personality, their own way of thinking. their own point of view, right? POV is such a popular trend right now. Like POV, it's real. So I would say that it's not so much about it being centralized in a particular group. However, yeah, those that tend to not have it have a more expansive relationship with that lack of healthiness, I guess you could say. But at the end of the day, anyone can experience it. It's just also about acknowledging that you have it. Like some folks can be in denial about it. Like they don't want to admit that they have a unhealthy relationship with money. And so that can continue the cycle. And if you're seeing a cycle that you don't like, that's the first step. That's really putting you on the right track. So sometimes you can tell a person who they are and they don't want to hear it, right? And nothing's going to happen unless they've bought into, maybe I need some support, maybe I need some help. And so it kind of boils down to the psychology of it.
Okay, so anybody can be a customer before they reach out, because I know sometimes, and I'm talking to less than a handful of you right now, but I know some people out there see our thumbnails, they see a beautiful face, and they start saying, oh, this is my shot. This is it. I found my wife, my esposa. She's here. Para, calm down. This is a professional service. Let people know where they need to start, because if they don't want that, from you, sometimes there's people who say, oh, I got $50. I'm going to go, try to burn 500 hours of her time, and ask every conversation that I can. So let them know like your ranges and how things start, because there are those too who get intimidated if they don't know the price, and they say, I wouldn't even want to look until I know the price.
So I will say that that's why I do complimentary, like the exploration calls. So we do 30-minute calls where we explore like where you are. Like I just get a chance to kind of gauge where you are, who you are, how serious you are about doing this. And then we take it from there. So then if we do move forward, it varies. It depends, right? So like I work with both clients one-on-one, I work with organizations. And so depending on what the needs are, we'll talk about that. But I'm also very conscious and aware that those that need it the most don't have the most. And so then I will set up a way of kind of doing a sliding scale for those folks if it's needed, just to make sure that they're still getting some level of support. So I still provide quality service. It's just how it looks can vary depending on a person's personal situation, because I don't want to leave anyone out. I don't want to leave out the folks who are in a position where they want to do better and just have a lot going on in their lives, and at this moment they can't do as much as they would like. Giving them a small in can make a huge difference, and I want to be able to do that.
And this is why you guys go check out the links in the description. Such a beautiful answer, such a social work answer. If you guys were to ever ask me, my answer won't be that. Just call me old and grumpy. But, after colonoscopy and all that stuff, you get to talk the way you want to talk. And where we're talking like that, why I bring on guests. When you think about, you have a beautiful website. Are you inside of the schools? Have you looked at the government RFPs, RFQs, RFIs, since you are going for sainthood and want to help the least of those? Where are you in that journey?
Yes, to all of the above. Absolutely. I've gone into schools, both K through 12 and universities. I've worked with nonprofits. I've worked with government agencies. So I've definitely had the opportunity to work in different aspects. I've worked with both personal finance and business finance. So, I guess my resume is kind of extended. I'm able to do a lot, but then I also have like the core sweet spot that I tend to focus on. But yeah, all of those I absolutely have done and continue to want to do and have worked and will work with everything you just said, plus more.
Okay. And I would only assume like in the city, New York City, that, there should be or could be more opportunities for financial education with the new mayor. It would just make sense to, have it and have it start really in elementary. We used to have to write checks in elementary. Like, I don't know, did you do that?
No. As I mentioned, like I didn't get any of this growing up. It wasn't until my 20s that I started to learn some of it like School of the Hard Knocks, but some of it like because I worked at a credit union, and that was my first experience with understanding finance, and that really just catapulted my passion for this.
Okay. And I'm from Oakland, California, but I was also raised in a suburb like 20 minutes outside. And what's funny about that is, when writing checks in school back in the 80s and 90s, it probably wasn't until I got to the suburbs till I saw people actually cashing those checks, whether they have money in them or not. And people learned about money in whole different ways and the legal system. But I won't say you guys' name. But with everything that you're doing, how many clients can you handle? And also give us like a community give back that you haven't mentioned that you want to do or that you're doing, and let us know how we can help you with that.
Sure. So I have a team that I work with, and I bring in educators who help with the process. My assistant is great at allowing me to like figure out who gets to do what. So I do have a team that works with me. In terms of community give back, I have some things that I'm planning for this year that haven't started yet. I usually partner up with other organizations and join them in whatever they're doing for the community, just because it's sometimes a little bit easier. You mentioned, hoping that the mayor has an initiative for financial education, which I really hope that he does. It seemed like the previous mayor had something in place, but just I didn't really see it pan out. So I'm hoping for a better outcome moving forward, especially since New York is not one of the states that mandates financial education. We're not, which is wild because we're the home of Wall Street, and yet we don't mandate financial education, even in high school. So there, for that reason, I have partnered up with like the DA's office. They do this whole safety and wellness event, and I think it's April. And so I talk about like digital literacy, cybersecurity when it comes to scams and stuff online that happen financially. For myself, I have been in the talks with a few folks of doing something for high school students. It's very similar to like, I guess you could call it like a college fair, but it is more financially motivated. So it's not just the opportunity to find out how to do like financial aid, which is common, right? But just thinking through, even as you are a college student, what you can do once you're in college. So for example, for me, I'm an HOP alum. I don't know, HOP is like, it's like, I don't know if they have what they have in other states, but it means higher education opportunity program. And I remember getting a stipend when I was in college. Every month I got a stipend. And I think back to those stipends, which were, I guess, nice because I didn't have to ask mom for money, but not that she had her, it's good, but yeah, I didn't have to ask her for money, but I could have done so much more. And so I really want to give kids in marginalized communities the opportunity to think about how they can do more, right? How to get their mindset working towards that. So that's something that I was just talking with someone about not too long ago. And then I do have goals of doing like a summer camp, not this year, it's coming later, but there is a summer camp idea that I've been toying around with, and I just need to get the right people in place to make it happen. But because currently the summers for me are packed, but if I could do my own thing with my own company, that would be something I would love to be able to do.
Awesome. And, one way I think we could do that is go to your website, share it with people. If there's other things, please let us know, because we need you. We need people who, look, sound like you. And social work, I'm a MSW candidate. I'm doing a second master's right now. And I'm finding that social work, I'm like, everybody Black should be here, because you can just come as yourself, and a lot of it is catered toward what we already experience and have lived. And I said, I'm gonna show up as me. Hopefully professors are cool with that, but again, it's my second master, so I know how to write. I've written thousands of articles and different things, but I want to be me, because I hear people say, look, we would follow that, but they need to Charleston White it up a little bit. They need to, name your favorite, content creator, folks. Y'all know them. I get paid by them, but you can show up as you. Do you ever find that in social work and doing this work, you still have to kind of fit in that box? Are you able to just kind of express yourself as if you were, at the beauty parlor and give people the real game?
The latter. I find that I learned so much about myself going through the social work program. I have a bachelor's in psychology. So like that's kind of like what I thought I wanted to do. And then I shifted to social work, and I can't tell you how much of me I found going through the social work program, not only identifying who I was, but becoming who I am. And so I do that. I do that now. Like even it allows me. So like I said, like I'm a Bronx girl. Like the way I'm talking now was taught through education, but I'm a Bronx girl. Like I can get down with the. So for me, that the social work made that okay for me. Like it made it okay for me to be able to, I guess you can call it code switch, which is not really how I see it. I see it as being more relatable, right? Because I don't have to have this very, you know, postured and way of myself. I'm here for you all. Like I'm part of you. Like we are part of the same community. And so through social work, I really was able to be comfortable with that. I was able to be okay with how I grew up being a part of my story and how I can utilize certain aspects of that story to continue to create who I continue to want to become. Because I consider myself a lifelong learner. I'm always evolving and becoming a better version of me. And that really came through the social work program. So no, I definitely appreciate that my advisor in college told me I should be a social worker, because I was offended at the time. I'm like, I can't be a psychologist. What do you mean? But she saw me better than I saw myself, and it has been a beautiful experience for me to have gone through the program and to continue to work in the field.
I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit.
Hello everyone, join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature and tradition from Yaoundé market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Join the Cameroonian food, and the wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstore. Yeah, in Grams Park. Don't miss this adventure.
I'm telling you guys, get into social work, especially if you look like us, because it's needed. And if you're males, oh my gosh, it's really needed. What it took to find a Black therapist who was relatable, who wasn't trying to, the psychologist and psychiatrist I found, but the psychiatrist for sure only wanted me if I needed medication. As soon as I said I need medication, it was, oh, no, we're not a good fit. I said, no, I'm kind of crazy. I can prove like crazy. I need to talk to somebody. And give people, I'm being distracted right now because Haizel also has like IMBD credits, and I was kind of see how I was going to get into like her, her film. Yeah, I want to go there now. So tell us, because I'm looking at you, I'm hearing you, and I'm like looking at your social, and I'm like, why does she not do more film? Why doesn't she do more YouTube and put herself out there? Why is she hiding like Neil Brennan did behind Dave Chappelle and everybody else? So talk about that a little bit, and if we can, are we going to see more of you in front of the camera?
Oh my gosh, the fact that it probably turned red because I was not expecting that. You caught me completely off guard. So yes, I do have backgrounds in I guess you can call it talent work, right? Like I've done acting. Actually I'm still kind of involved in the industry in a way that so I am the creative producer for Bronx Fashion Week as well, because I also have a modeling background. So I continue to put myself out there in that way. In terms of the acting, I really had to take a step back for the business. So that's why I haven't done as much. I have still been in contact with different like filmmakers and things like that, hoping to maybe do another indie film, because I think that's kind of where I want to stay for now, like helping folks that are kind of coming into the game, supporting their process and being a part of that. And if I get a commercial here and there, yay. But my business has been my baby and my focus. So that's why I kind of stepped back a little bit from the acting. I still get involved with the modeling, but that's really the reason. My business became my focus.
But what about combining them, since you know what it is to be in front of the camera? Because I'm just going to be very blunt. Just having images, and I like that some of them were in Spanish on your Facebook, but it's like the connection there is really you. If people want to, hear and see you, you have to have a tone for that. I have a tone for audio, maybe a face for it too. I don't know, but I'm just going to do what I do. But why not put yourself in there since you know the video people, the editors, and, boom, now we got a documentary coming and showing you all in the Bronx. We'll bring the pinchos and everything. So you guys, show up. Like, why not? There's a reason why you haven't done that.
No, there really isn't a solid reason. It's so funny. I just told somebody last night. I was like, I think I need to get on YouTube. And so the fact that you're mentioning this is wild. But it's just me really like my genuine self. Like I wanted to hit the ground running and I wanted to do it all when I first started like officially with the business. And then I realized that it was less about me and more about my clients. And that's where I started to pivot and kind of shift how I was doing things. So in order to pace myself so that I can still do all the things I want to do just in due time. Have I thought about the things that you've mentioned? Yes. And they are not things that I'm going to give up on. I just want to make sure that they are at the right time, because why would I create something like you mentioned the documentary if I don't have enough of a following to actually get out of it what I mean for folks to get out of it. And so I think that's kind of what I'm establishing now is having a good amount of folks who can feel like what they're getting from me is fully credible, right? Because I can say I have these credentials, but unless you feel that I'm someone who you can trust and believe in, then it might fall flat. And I would hate that to be the case. So for me, it's just about being very intentional about my next steps. But I definitely have given thought to those things. I love that you mentioned it because now I'm like even more so like the fact that you mentioned it a day after I talked about YouTube, it's like that has to be a sign. So, we'll see what happens next.
Oh yeah, God doesn't make mistakes. I'm sometimes a butterfly on the wall. I can't tell you guys all my tricks, but I see it like a movie. And I think about a movie. You guys, most of you won't know, but Google this. If you build it, they will come. And so first you have to build it, because we're now in a time where people think, oh, I have to have this massive following, where we have clients that might have 10,000 or less, but I can tell you we're not cheap. So they're paying a good amount of money for our services. Sometimes we're business partners, but I've seen people grow from under 10,000 to 100K to millions of followers, and you can't focus on what you have now. We all start with an audience of 0. And just because somebody might not have the YouTube following or the Instagram or TikTok following you think they have, on Podbean, overseas, I interviewed a guy, he's on TV on a whole nother island. He's not tripping off anything because the money is there for him. And so you guys just build. That's what we want you to do. With that, how many clients can you handle and how many have you had? So, when we see that you say, okay, so many serve like McDonald's, we're like, okay, yeah. Maybe we don't have to bother her anymore or keep pushing her. We'll give the work to somebody else. But how many do you have and how many have you served?
So in 2025, being that predominantly the work has been in groups, I've done it mostly more organizations than I've done individual. I served over 900 individuals last year in 2025, which was amazing. And I'm hoping to bring that number up this year. So every year it's been like my first year was maybe like 200, and like I've continuously increased that number every year. So yeah, and the more that I can serve, and the bigger of a team that I can build, so that I can continue to serve even more folks. Because I would love for this to be nationwide. I would love to do what my company does at a national basis. So that's really my goal right now, is to work on that.
That is amazing. 900. Talking about finance, we're not talking about, whatever the shallow stuff. You're getting deep into people's finance and telling them and showing them the mistakes and the things that they're doing right. Congrats to that. So with that, and going, nationwide and even international, I could see it. What is a thing again that we haven't talked about that you say, you know what, this is what I'd like to do it. Like if you want a Netflix special with this, say it now. If you want to be like Ramit Sethi, say it now with his, his Netflix thing. Let the people know. Let's put it on the air. We never know who will hear this.
Yeah, you're definitely speaking. I guess like you've been in my mind. I just recently saw a commercial for a new show that is focusing on couples, and I think it's called, is it Cashed Out? I can't recall the name of it. But I thought that was a very interesting, like I just fell upon it like in the last couple of days. And so another thing that I've been thinking of doing, which I haven't mentioned yet, is I want to kind of get into working with couples, right? In terms of financial social work, working with couples, because at the end of the day, what these caregivers learn will impact the next generation. And if I can build that cycle as best as I can now, right? Because as a couple, mom and dad, for example, or dad and dad, however that couple is set up, you are both responsible for how the children are being raised, whether they're your own children or maybe you're just a really good auntie, right? Like you're like the favorite auntie. And so what you bring to the table can absolutely influence what this child or children will do in life. And so why not give you the tools to, especially if you are in an underserved community, if you're part of a BIPOC community that tends to be tried to kept down, what if we give you all the tools to together be able to provide a stronger foundation for the next generation? Because I will tell you that one of the things I hear from couples many times is that the mom and dad are on different planets when it comes to how they're raising the kids. And that could be a challenge, right? Like one's very lenient, one's a disciplinarian. And if that's the case across the board amongst different things, including finances, then those different messages are going to cause a lot of friction in how the child or the children end up discovering what their financial journey is going to be. So yeah, that's kind of my upcoming project as well, is incorporating couples that are considered caregivers so that they can support the work that I'm doing.
Nice. And for somebody who is on the fence, because my therapist had told me, and I thank Reggie, thank you for that, about the CFSW, because he's helping me, he supported me. My wife been telling me for 15 years, go back to school and do that. And I'm like, man, I'm raising two daughters. Like I'm trying while you're in med school and doing your thing, but I need to have focus. Right. But a lot of people are on the fence. They don't know, how serious this certification is. Can they be sued? But they don't know enough about it. And they also think that their finances have to be there. And one thing I hear, no one knows how much money I have, except the government, my wife and God, in reverse. But people say, well, you're very open with your finance. And I tell people nothing about my finance except I hit my Coast-Fire number. I still got to work, though. Do you feel if somebody wants to join and be part of this certification that their money, one, has to be right? Can they be in debt? Will they have to disclose? Do you have to disclose how much money you have and how well you're doing and what trips you just took first class on Delta One, for people to believe that you know what you're talking about?
No, you don't have to disclose any of that, right? I mean, I know that with social media, that's how folks tend to validate a person, right? Like, oh, look at all these pictures and images and things like that. To become a CFSW, first of all, like actually to join, you don't have to have any of that. You don't have to list any of that because the work you're doing. What I like about the program is that it has you do it for yourself first, right? So the workbooks, like you're working on you first, because once you understand the work for yourself, then you can work with others. And so I definitely appreciated that about the program. And then, in terms of like myself or being a public image or whatever the case is, it's not necessarily about that. For me, the proof is in the pudding, right? Not the one I show you, but the people that I'm working with. They are like their testimonials or their life, like however their lives are being impacted. And like I try to like quantify as much as I can the work that I do. So like surveys, things like that, having folks, and that's what I use. I use that in order to show what the growth is for the folks that I'm working with. Like if they feel even a little more confident, just slightly more confident today than they did yesterday, then as a result of my my workshop or my program, that to me is a win. And that's what people need to understand. Even the small wins are big wins. You don't have to have this $1 million milestone reached in order for you to realize that you're making strides in the right direction. Appreciate that win and move forward.
And also, you guys, if you know any social workers, even your doctors, nobody has it all figured out. So you're going to get help from a broken person wherever you go. Your doctor might be battling cancer at the same time you are. They're not going to tell you all their woes 9 out of 10 times unless you're, like me, and you get all in your doctor's business and you become friends with them. But my doctors come highly recommended from mi esposa. So
I think that having that brokenness is better because it makes you more relatable, right? Like having, even if whether you're going through it now or you have before, I think that adds richness to the work that's being done because they're not just coming from a place of, I guess, privilege. You're coming from a place where you really relate. And it's like, I got you. Like, I hear you. I got you. And let's move forward.
Yeah, definitely. If you can tell somebody, no, on Thanksgiving, I've had rice and sugar and bread only in the house, and that was it, and there was nowhere else to go. There was, in some rural areas where I went to school, there is no soup kitchen, there is no this, that, and you gotta, so yeah, those stories, they'll keep you humble versus saying, well, they didn't have Bulgari caviar, so I didn't, and it makes you kind of let me tame my tongue. Give the people any last words, any motivation, and of course where they can find you to help with their finances. I thank you for your time so much. This has been beautiful.
Thank you for saying that. It's been a great experience for me as well. I wasn't sure what to expect, like I said, but I'm happy that I am part of this. In terms of first where to find me, because that's the easiest thing, I would say you can find me on LinkedIn, on IG, I guess Facebook, because I do have a Facebook, and then my email. You can do info@makemoneymoves.org, and that way you can connect on a more direct level if you need to. But then you can also go on the website, which is https, and it's no www. You just go makingmoneymovers.org, and that way you can schedule a complimentary call with me for 30 minutes so that we can see what this connection could look like. In terms of tips, I would say the biggest thing that I like to tell people that I work with is to give yourself grace, right? Don't be your worst judge. Like, you don't have to think about, oh, I'm this age, or oh, I'm this much in debt. Don't create a negative narrative for yourself. If you're deciding to move into a different direction, then give yourself the opportunity and the grace to do so, and then keep a positive mindset about it. Are you going to fall off? Sure. Right? Like, how many people started in January 1st going to the gym and they stopped going? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. You just have to know that you're willing to commit to yourself. You're not committing to the process, you're committing to yourself. And then once you've decided to do that and take the situation seriously, then let's go ahead and get started and move you forward. Because again, it's about your journey, not anybody else's. You have to create and decide that this is something you want to do, and you have to be okay with the process. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a process. It's a journey. So just be okay with it and get started and be realistic about what you're doing. And then from there on, anything that we talk about, anything that I teach will land better because your mindset is ready to go.
Awesome. Again, I thank you. And you know what? I have to say this because my Scottish bros will be like, you didn't mention that last name. And does she know Gaelic too? Okay, Espanol is cool. And maybe she's married to it. Maybe, it came with, any Gaelic skills out there?
No Gaelic skills. No. The name, my husband's Black American. Don't know where his name came from, but that's how I got my last name. My maiden name though is French, and so I have picked up a little bit of French because of that last name. But no Gaelic, nothing there, except for my kid going to a school where the mascot were the Gales. But that's about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I could definitely see you again in front of the camera, but when you say you mix the French, I don't know if you've done your DNA yet. You have, and so now you say, oh, that's the international piece. In some countries now, you guys know I push this on my other channel for Killing Cash, like how to get residencies and citizenships. You can get them and do your DNA and then keep going deeper and deeper and ask the right people. I'm telling you from experience, we collect these things. But I thank you for your time. You guys have gotten the game. I want you to make sure you comment wherever you experience it. You can like it, but most importantly, I need you to share this game with somebody. It will change their life. Money is something that answers all things. The scripture says we're not to love it, but we need it. It's necesito. You guys be blessed.
Hi everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend, Kellen Cash Coleman, came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.
Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent and prepare for a journey of restoration and joy by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at DiversifiedGame.com.